Strunina and our podcast, Diabetically Speaking with SmartMove360. We go live every week at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and talking about diabetes, all different aspects of it. So let's go. All right. Hello again. This is Irina Strunina. We welcome everyone who just discovered us and also welcome back to those who are following us. We are on the air already over a year. We have quite a few episodes out here. And today I have a very special guest, Jamie. We met just recently. She actually was the one who reached out and wanted to see how she can be of help to our people. So, Jamie, please talk about yourself a little bit. Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Jamie Brigham. I'm from Glendale, Arizona. I'm actually a native from Arizona, so you don't meet many of us because it is very hot here in the summertime. So not a lot of people stay here. But I am a native. I am married. I have 8 children. Most of them are grown adults. So my oldest is 27. My youngest is turning 16. Um, I am a retired executive. I spent many, many years at corporate America. My last job as an executive, I was a chief operations officer, overseeing 12 multi-million dollar companies. I decided to leave that and pursue a career in functional nutrition, mobility specialist, and neurotraining. So currently, I actually do functional nutrition. I take on clients with traumatic brain injuries, type 2 diabetes, individuals with autism, just the whole kind of anyone who wants to work with me and get a better understanding of nutrition. I'll take the time out and work with them. Um, I also do personal training at a local gym here in the Glendale area. And most of the clients that I work with are recovering either from cancer diagnosis, stroke, a lot of the older community, because I specialize in mobility, strength, and movement. I usually get those types of clients. So, my practice is very empathy based. So, I make sure that I'm focusing on the whole person, not just a diagnosis. I don't think that people are their diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to be able to support them in whatever area that they need support in. So even if it's outside of the nutrition realm,
Mm-hmm.
I try and give as much support as I can to individuals who need it. And it doesn't matter if they're 10 years old or 90 years old. If you need my help, I'm there.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. And this is something that is what I said. She reached out to us, to admins in our group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, and offered help, which is not often happens. Sometimes we have to actually pick up the people from the group, and she did that herself, which is great. And with this experience of taking care of this big family, I think you bringing some extra knowledge to this conversation that we have. This month we are talking about caregivers, caregiving, and support that people need and how they can get and ask and all these important topics. And as you mentioned, health and wellness is not only nutrition or the exercises, right? It's all around. It's a 360 approach, and this is the name for my company, SmartMove360, because we do need to move, but we need to move at, in every direction,
Mhm.
somehow moving up to the better ourselves, right?
Yes.
So with that, I wanted to ask to start conversation with a very simple question, which is why in managing diabetes it is so important to have a support system.
Um, just from my experience alone and dealing with, my mom who had type 2 diabetes and cancer and COPD and things like that. It's important to have the support system because you do need people to talk to. You need people to share in the experience. I think a lot of times people feel alone, like they're the only ones going through it. Nobody really
Mhm.
understands, kind of thing. So it's nice to have a community to come around you and give you any of the support. I woke up and my blood sugar is, this number. What do I do? Is there a test I can take to find, if maybe I'm having sensitivities to food, or what's the best kind of exercises I could do, because we know how important movement is,
Yes.
when we're trying to, deal with any type of, autoimmune, any type of illness. Movement is really key. But it's important to have people around you. And not only you just want to feel loved and supported.
Yes, yes, definitely. And it's actually brings up this topic about caregivers. Um,
Mhm.
in your experience, how caregivers can help, can contribute someone with diabetes, in this case, to get better, to improve their condition.
Well, I think caregivers, they kind of have an insight on what you're going through. And
Mhm.
let's just say you're really not feeling like getting up and getting outside. Well, your caregiver, can really encourage that individual. Let's just go stand outside for a few minutes. Let's just take a walk around the block, or that kind of thing, or let's get out and go see a movie. Something like that, to get the other person kind of engaging with life. I think a lot of times people tend to shut down and withdraw. And caregivers, they play a really important part in, showing the love, showing the support. The caregivers oftentimes will educate themselves on what the individual is going through, so then, they can give insight. I know with me, when my mom was sick, I started going through and learning about type 2 diabetes and learning about, her COPD, and just trying to help any way I could to support her.
Mhm. Yes, that's for being in the past caregiver for my husband as well. I do remember that very often caregivers don't go to doctor's visits. So whatever happened in the doctor's at the doctor's appointment, uh, those who taking care of their family members, I don't know, the spouse or the kids or the parents, they don't know until the person who went to doctor will decide to share. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, we cannot read the minds and we cannot really guess what was it. And I know that in our family, in our situation, it was very often it was, how was your blood sugar this time? Oh, it got better. How much?
Yeah.
What the number? I don't remember. So maybe he didn't remember. Maybe he didn't want me to know. I don't know. I would not really torture the person if the person said I don't remember. How would I know what is the case? And sometimes this is what happening with in relationships between the person with diagnosis and person who is helping, trying to help, right?
Right.
To we kind of floating in the guessing zone without really the data.
Mhm.
So do you find that actually the communication skills are very helpful in this situation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's important, for caregivers, if they're there to take care of the individual, they really need to have access to the whole picture. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't think that you can effectively be, a caregiver and helping the individual if you don't have the full picture. My mom was a very private woman, so she really didn't share a lot in the beginning. So after a few times of her ending up in the hospital, all of us, she had four of us.
Mm-hmm.
We basically said enough is enough. And so one of us was always at a doctor's appointment with her.
Yes.
She just didn't go at it alone. And I think that made her feel a lot better because, you know, if she forgot to ask a question or maybe she
Yes.
was confused but didn't want to say that she was confused, we could ask the question. Um,
Yes.
and it's really important too as a caregiver to educate yourself on, the illness, what's going on with the person. And, when these individuals have these illnesses, it's different for everybody. Not everyone is going to have the same symptoms, the same response, that kind of thing. So it's really important to, have that knowledge and, not that it's not cookie cutter. It's not a one
Yes.
size fits all. Um, and I think a lot of times we're like, well, let's just give them a pill and it'll make them better. Or, well, Jane Smith went through it and this was her, thing. I don't understand why what you're going through is any different,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that we educate ourselves, that we stay in communication with the person that we're taking care of, and also make sure that we're being empathetic and we're
Yes.
being understanding. Um, and not, we don't want to be judgmental and we don't want to make the person feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
or that they're doing something wrong because they
Yes.
got sick, kind of thing. I always say that, you have your judge and jury. I don't need to be the judge and jury. I just need to be here to love you and support you and help you in whatever way I can. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and I know with my mom, she really appreciated that. She didn't want to feel like she was doing something wrong, and
Yes.
she certainly didn't want her children, wagging our finger at her because,
Uh-huh.
she went and had a coffee and a donut or whatever kind of thing. So,
Yes. Well, you see, this is something that unfortunately we all finding ourselves in this situation. There is so much information that we are not given, we were not presented with. And a lot of times I see in our Facebook group, people are saying, I did it. This is my fault. I'm ashamed. I
mhm,
cannot say it to my family, friends, or whatever, because this is all my fault. And this is not exactly truth. I don't think anyone knowing that they are putting themselves into this difficult situation, into these hard
right.
feelings, will continue doing that. But we all feel that we never die and nothing will happen to us. And if we're not given this information, how would we know?
Hmm.
So this is something that I personally find that is important to repeat to everyone in a group, and the people who have the whatever diagnosis they have,
Hmm.
that unless you really picked up the speed and ran into the wall knowing what you are doing, otherwise, unfortunately, the manufacturers and different commercials are doing their job very
Yeah.
well. We listen, we hear, and trying and getting addicted in a way.
Yeah, and there is a lot of misinformation out there.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people who have good intentions. And so they share their experience or what they feel like is good information. And really, it isn't. So it goes back to, it depends on the person. It depends on what that person is willing to do for
Mm-hmm.
their illness. Like you said, there is a lot of guilt and shame and, oh, it's my fault. I'm just a horrible person. And it's really important to remind individuals to give themselves a little grace.
Yes.
Um, I found over the years that most people that I speak with have no clue about nutrition, no clue, what movement is good for them. There's honestly, you look at one thing and it says eggs is bad for you, and then another eggs is good for you. Coffee's bad, coffee's good. You need to eat meat, don't eat meat, like all of these things. And honestly, it just what works for that person.
Exactly.
you know you could get someone who's in their 80s and they're like, look, I'm old, I lived a good life, I'm just going to go do me.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's how they feel, then that's how they feel, and we need to support that you know
Well,
um
yeah, a little argument about this. And when we're talking about 80 years old, maybe, even
mhm,
though with the knowledge, information that we have right now, we could actually live
mhm,
without suffering uh, very long, even after being diagnosed, just with the minor changes that could be done, right? But I hear the same thing from 28 years old, from 35
right.
years old. And
Mhm.
my point here is they got to remember that nobody is living alone. There, we are
Mhm.
not living in a cave or in a desert, right? We are
Right.
surrounded by people, and usually there are few people who like us and may even love us. And when you are suffering,
Yep.
they also suffering with you.
Right. Like I have my 27-year-old son is pre-diabetic.
Hmm.
He's overweight and he's, bigger. He's almost 6 foot. He's about 300 pounds, but his diet is terrible. He does drink alcohol, that kind of thing. And, I talk to him about it often, and I tell him, you have to do what you're willing to do. You're a grown man. I can't force you into anything, but I'm going to give you a lot of good information and a lot of good knowledge, and what you choose to do with it is up to you, but I will support you through it. I will listen, I will answer any question. I'll go shopping with you. I'll come over and, we can work through stretching and moving and, things like that. And he's been very receptive.
Hmm.
But it's very slow going. He's stubborn. He doesn't always want to put the work in, even though he knows that, it's not good and it could be a lot worse. So it just takes time. So we have to be very patient with
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Um, and we can't see, you can't just see the disease. You know what I mean? Like I can't look internally. I can look at his physical, like, hey, James, you're overweight. I can tell that you're kind of getting like the diabetic skin, stuff like that. But one thing I'm very careful to do with anyone that I work with is I don't shame them.
Hmm.
I support them. We're not going to beat up on ourselves and make ourselves feel awful.
Yes.
It doesn't change anything. It doesn't, bringing up all of that negativity and being awful to ourselves doesn't do any good. It's just
Exactly.
wasted energy. So, the support, the empathy, as much knowledge and information that I can give and provide and support. A lot of times it's just hand holding, you
Yes.
know, and that's okay. So being a caregiver, it's just really important to love them through it and not judge them or make them feel awful. It just
Exactly.
doesn't do anyone any good at all.
Yes, absolutely. This is something that I am trying to remind myself when something happened. Doesn't matter. I broke the cup. I, something I forgot to put gas into my car, and car is not running anymore for the moment. This
Yeah.
situation is I could sit and say how not what it was not smart. I better do better choices and stuff like that. Yes, it's all lessons learned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, based on those lessons, what I can do now, because until I do something, nothing will change, right? I may ask
Right.
somebody to bring me gas, or maybe I will walk to the gas station if it's close by to do something. And that's what I think is important. And thank you for bringing it up, that yes, we all have the history, and we all are not perfect and made sometimes the choices that are not serving us. But at the same time, we learn the lesson? What will we try to do? Not necessarily we'll have a chance or ability to do better, but at least we will try, and we will do it a little differently.
Oh yeah, it's all in how we move forward. After, whatever it is, okay, you get a type 2 diabetes diagnosis. Okay,
Hmm.
so instead of focusing on all the bad of it, okay, how are we going to move forward?
Yes,
How? Because it's reversible. So what do I need to do to, reverse this
yes,
diagnosis? And then how do I move forward from there and having a healthy lifestyle so it doesn't happen again? um,
exactly.
and then also teaching younger people, hey, this is something that I went through. So let's talk about this. Let me just give you these little nuggets of information and you do as you wish,
Hmm.
but know that every choice you make is going to have a consequence, whether it's good or bad. So you
Yes,
decide, you know, how you're going to handle it. But, it just, how you move forward is really important, how you move forward from these situations. I'm a very positive person. I don't sit in the negative. So, if someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh my god, I have this diagnosis," like my family, I'm like, "Okay, great. Okay, not great that you have the diagnosis, but okay, how do we move forward? Let's
now
not
when we
sit."
have this information, now we
Yeah.
actually armed with information. We're not
Yes.
guessing
Yeah.
anymore.
Mhm. And I always say, "Do you want my advice? Would you like me to help you?" Like, I have all of this, training and knowledge, but I have love and I have empathy and support. And whatever you need, if I need to show up at a doctor's appointment, if you need me just to come and sit with you, or you feel like eating an entire chocolate cake because you're feeling a little down, let's have a conversation before you put fork to cake,
Uh-huh.
and eat the whole thing. Let's, talk about it, maybe go for a walk. So, back to caregiving,
Mm-hmm.
anyone that is in our circle, anyone that we're helping, taking care of, loving, if it's a family member, a friend, a neighbor, whatever, someone at church, we need to be able to just be loving and supportive and empathetic. And, okay, I don't have an answer to your question. Let's go find the answer to your question.
Yes.
Let's do it together.
Yes.
Mhm.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
love everything you're saying. So thank you for sharing
Oh,
this.
sure.
I have one last question that I usually ask at the end. What would be your one recommendation, suggestion for caregivers for in their communication, how they could be more effective in helping people with diagnosis with diabetes?
Um, I think the one recommendation is to be a really good listener,
Mm-hmm.
not a fixer, but a listener.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people just want to be heard. They don't need um, they don't need a bunch of stuff thrown at them. They just need an empathetic ear to sit and listen and hold their hand, be there, support them, but they don't need us to jump in and let's just fix it. Because I'm a fixer, so I have to dial that back. If you come to me with a situation, a problem, whatever, I want to just get in there and solve the puzzle and get it done. So
Yes.
I think, the biggest thing that I could tell people is just listen, spend time, enjoy the moments together, you know. I think that's most important.
Excellent. This is a great recommendation, and it's definitely truth. Very often, we have these situations when
Mhm.
our supporters, our caregivers, our helpers, they are ready to jump on and
Yeah.
do things for us. But this is not sometimes I don't need anyone to jump and do things for me. I just need to vent
Yeah.
or think out loud.
Yeah.
Uh, that's something that we as people need to do anyways.
Mhm.
Well, Jamie, what would be the best way to connect with you for people if they want to talk with you more and kick the ideas and stuff?
Sure. So they can email me at thebbrighamnutrition@gmail.com. They could search for me on Instagram. My handle is Jamie Marie Brigham. There's a picture of me with an apple, so you know it's me. And then on Facebook, it's Jamie Gaston hyphen Brigham. So
All right. You are a
yeah, they
member
can
of
reach out
our
to me
group.
anyway. Huh?
Yeah, you are the member of our Facebook group, so
I
Diabetes
am.
101 for Beginners.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
people
Through
could,
the Facebook group. Absolutely. So, I mean, any question, any comments, just send them my way and I will be happy to get in touch.
all right. Okay, thank you. So please don't leave yet. Let me do some announcements, and we that will end up our meeting today. So first of all, I wanted to say that in our Facebook group, Diabetes 101 for Beginners, we have a week full of events, and every day we have something happening. So the first on Mondays we have Monica Henderson, our agent of change, going with little motivational talk and trying to inspire people to stay on track and keep working. And even if you hit the plateau, it's still you should keep doing that. So on Tuesdays, we usually have our Telenurse Tuesday event, which is our nurses on call. They collect the comments with questions in a group, and at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, they go online and they answer your questions, and that should help you making decisions about your care plan, interpreting your doctor's orders and recommendations. All right. Every other Wednesdays, we have support group meetings. This is when our members and our healthcare providers and experts are getting together. I wouldn't say that we have a lot of experts every time, but we usually have one or two experts on different topics. So you could come with your questions, with your challenges, or maybe just to see people and listen to their stories, whatever works better for you. Please join us on our support group meetings. On Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have this podcast, Diabetically Speaking with SmartMove360, when we have, again, experts coming and talking about diabetes. And by the way, every last Thursday, we're talking about Thursday, every last Thursday of the month, we have a diabetic warrior special edition. Somebody who lives with diabetes comes and speaks with me about discusses with me the life with diabetes and what do they do and how is their story is turning. And on Fridays we have our energetic Trevor Brown bringing us Fitness Fridays when he shows some exercises and talks about nutrition because he is also a nutrition coach. Um, this last Saturday of month of April, we will have Diabetic Healthcare Expo. Again, we are inviting experts and healthcare providers to show up and talk about different aspects of life with diabetes and how you can manage it in a better way. And please join us, mark your calendar, and come join us in Facebook group. And again, the last thing I wanted to say that I want today's Thursday. I'm saying thank you to our supporting companies Mink Life Motivation, On Balance Entertainment, Life-Based Solutions, and Empower People That Care. These are the companies, these are the groups of people who are helping me bring you every week this podcast and all other events that we have happening in the Facebook group. With that, I would like thank Jamie for coming with me today to this podcast and sharing your story and your experience and your suggestions and ideas. I really appreciate your time and your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. All right. And until next Thursday, everybody have a good rest of your week.